All right, this app is coming together. It's looking really cool, guys. I hope you are still excited. We got a lot more code to do in this course. I know it seems like our app is almost finished, and the MVP, the first version, is almost done. Like we have the core of our app here. This is a great time to start sending it over to the rest of the team, let people start playing around with the app. But before we do that, I want to do one more quick video here on a little bit of code polish because there was a lot of code that we wrote and it wasn't all perfect. So firstly, in the mock avatar service, we are always returning this mock data here. And that's basically what we wanted for the starting point. But if I go and I look at the explore view, the question becomes then, how would I be able to actually mock the versions of the explore view if something was either still loading or loaded and actually had no data? So let's go ahead and customize our mock now that we have it. So here we're going to create a couple different previews. So again, this service is just a protocol, so we could create a whole bunch of different instances of this service. But for right now, what we're going to do is just very quickly, instead of just returning all the mocks, let's go ahead and inject. We'll init here with the avatars, which will be an array of avatar model. We'll set it equal to the avatar model dot mocks to start. So the default will be all the mocks. Up here, we'll say let avatars of type array of avatar model, and we'll just set self.avatars equal to avatars. Just like we did in the mock user service, where we injected a user, now we're injecting the avatars. So here, let's go ahead and return the avatars.shuffled, 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 avatars.shuffled. And then let's actually add some logic into the get avatar ID. We'll say guard let avatar equals the avatars, and we'll look for the first where the ID is equal to the ID that we are passing in. Else, let's go ahead and throw an error. We'll just do a URL error here. Maybe no permission to read file. Just throw that for now. It's just a mock data. And then we'll just return the avatar if we do get it. So now we actually have a little bit of logic in our avatars here. And then we can also add a little bit of a delay. So we can say maybe we'll say let delay of type double. And we will set the delay of type double equal to, the default will be 2.0. We'll set self.delay equals delay. Now let's pass in our delay for all of these methods here. If we wanted to customize these across each of these, we could add a bigger initializer or create multiple different mock services. But I'm just doing this once right now because it's quick and easy for our previews. Let's go to our Explore view. I'll name this preview here. This one we'll just call has data. We'll do another one that is no data, and we'll do another one that is slow loading. So for has data, we should be able to just return the data as is. For the no data, let's go ahead and add avatars here of a blank array so that this one should return us no avatars. Let's jump to the no data one and see what this screen looks like. All right, and it looks like it is just loading forever. So we have a little bit of a bug in our app. Let's go up here and look. So if both are empty forever, we have a progress indicator. But I really want some logic so that if the loading is finished, then we show a message to the user. So up here, let's add in, we'll move the categories to the top. And these are our two fetch requests in question. So we'll do @state private var. We'll call it is loading featured of type bool equals true to start, as well as is loading popular. So if both are empty, then let's say if is loading featured or is loading popular. If anything is still loading, then let's put our progress view on the screen. Else, if both are not loading still, let's go ahead and put some text here that says, let's go ahead and add a VStack. We'll make our own content unavailable view, just says text error, and let's just say text, please check your internet connection and try again. Then let's add down here a button that let's give this a title and an action. Title will be try again, and the action will be we're going to go and load the data again. Let's change the loading for our preview to a delay of 0. So it just immediately loads. On here, we will remove list row formatting. Let's give this VStack spacing of 8 and as well as alignment of center. Give us a font of headline and a font of subheadline and a foreground style of secondary. Give the button a foreground style of .blue. Cool. And then let's give the whole thing padding of 40 just to push it off the edges of the screen. Again, this is a screen that we should basically never see, but we are just coding for the edge cases here. We'll give this a multi-line text alignment of center. And if I then click the button, we should create, just like we have here, we have 2 tasks. I'm just going to copy that and paste that in here, except I'll do a capital T and a capital T. And that should work. Cool. I'm going to just clean this code up to keep the body nice and neat. So I will cut this and we'll come down here, and this will be a private variable called loading indicator of type SomeView. Paste that in. We'll cut this view here and we'll say private var error message view of type SomeView. Paste that here. Let's copy and paste this, and we'll put our loading indicator up here. And then last but not least, this is the action. So we'll say here, private func on try again pressed. And then we'll call these actions and we'll try on try again pressed. Cool. Lastly, let's come down to our previews. And for the last version, we're going to add a delay here. We'll do a delay of maybe 10 seconds. So now we can test in our previews, we can test the default data where it is loading. And I should be able to see this pretty quickly. Looks like 2-second loading and then it pops in. I'll even put a delay of 0 on that to, let's actually go and make the default delay 0 so that the default is just loading pretty quickly in our previews. So now we can delete this. Cool, our error message is here, and then we can try again. When we click try again pressed, let's actually set the is loading back to true for both of these. Is loading popular equals true as well. Let's try that quick. Let's go ahead and add a delay of maybe 2 seconds. Let's test it out. 1, 2, we get our error message, test it, 1, 2, and then why is our loading indicator not coming back? Try again, and then the loading indicator is not coming back. I do not know why. Let's go ahead and put this in a Z-stack, and I think that might fix, because then this is a view builder. That is, this Z-stack is going to remain on the screen between both of these. This might just be a bug for the, yeah. All right, let's go ahead and change the Z-stack to remove list row formatting, and I can take it off of the loading indicator as well as the error message. Think that'll fix it. Try it one more time. Loading indicator. Great. Loading indicator. Great. And let's go back to the error message view. This is not centered, so let's just go ahead and frame max width infinity. Beautiful. I think we're done with this screen. Let's also jump to the category list view, where we have basically the same problems here. So we're going to have a couple different states here. Let's just say here has data. That will be our default. We'll do another one that says no data. And here we'll pass in avatars as a blank array. So in the no data section, nothing's on the screen. So let's change our code here. If is loading, we'll put the progress view. We'll say else if the avatars are empty. So if it's done loading and it's empty, we'll just say no avatars found. And we'll put control command spacebar, pull up the emojis, and maybe we'll put a sad face here. Let's give this a foreground style of .secondary, a remove background list row formatting, frame max width, infinity, padding 40. And let's also list row separator hidden. There we go. Cool. This time we're not going to put a try again button because it is actually possible that there are no avatars for this category. We're going to do another one that has slow loading, just so that we can make sure the loading indicator is working. So let's go ahead here and say delay true, or delay of 10. So we should have a spinner here. That looks great. And there's one more case I want to do on the screen is if there's an error, it should show an alert. So let's jump into our mock avatar service. And in here, we'll just say show error of type bool. Set it equal to false by default, so it's almost always false. Show error of type bool. Self.showError equals show error. And in here, we'll create a private func that says try show error. And then this will throw, and it will say if show error. Let's just throw URL error dot unknown. All right, so in here, let's now call try show error. I'll put one in here. After delay, I'll put one in here. I'll do it in here as well. One in here and one in here. Again, we could customize the mocks so that we can customize this so that maybe some of them throw errors and some of them don't. But generally, this is like the easiest approach. So now we should be able to also go into here and say error loading. And so we'll do maybe 5-second delay and then show error should be true. So on this last version, we can actually mock out now the error coming through our code. So this is really unlocking a lot for me as the developer because I can get all of the different instances and the edge cases really ironed out before I go and push this to production. Let's jump to the error loading. So we should have 5 seconds of a spinner followed by an error message. If it all works, we'll get that error on the screen. Great. Looks operation could not be completed. This is exactly what we wanted. The error that we're throwing in the mock doesn't have special localized text here, but the errors, when we customize our errors, we can put in custom text here that says there was a problem loading or whatever, something human readable if we want. Anyway, no avatars found. Perfect. It's exactly what we wanted. The last thing I want to do here is actually update some code so that we can more easily use our previews. So this is great, but let's go to like maybe the profile view. We have these situations now where this is starting to get pretty cumbersome in our app, where we have a whole bunch of managers and we have to add them to every single preview. So you can imagine that if we keep building this app and we have 5 more managers that we add, we're going to have so many managers into every single preview, and that's going to get really cumbersome and annoying to have to build. Not to mention that if we forget one manager, if we forget to add the user manager, now our preview is crashing, nobody knows why, everybody's confused, and it's a nightmare. So even right now, my preview is failing. Because if I go to the top, auth user avatar, and I come down here, there's no auth. All right, so literally the one we just went into already is breaking because of this problem. Mock auth service, and we'll pass in a mock user. What we're going to do is create a default version that has all of our managers already baked in. Let's create an extension of view, and we'll call this a func called preview environment. Return some view. Let's return self, and let's add all of the managers that we had so far. Let's close all of these quick. All right, so we have all of these that we want to add down here. And I think we're missing the AI. So we'll also add environment, AI manager, mock AI service. So now when I go and start building out new screens, rather than having to do this every time, I can just call preview environment, and it will just wrap up all of the managers, throw them all into the environment of this preview. And now we can compile and condense this code a lot. We're going to use this a lot as we start building now because this is going to save us a ton of time. but we also now lose the ability to go ahead and create some of these. So two things that I want to point out. Firstly is even though we use the preview environment, these environments are overridable. As I was explaining earlier when we were talking about the architecture, the view, if there are multiple managers in an environment, the view is going to end up using the one that was added closest to the view. So if I add these, but if I actually add something closer to the view, then it will override it. So for example, here we have a mock user with a blue color. But if I were to then want to customize a preview and I make this nil, this preview should now, this is adding the first user, but this is adding a second user. And now we can override our previews still. And this is great. This is super powerful. Secondly, if we go this route, let's also just customize this init here so that we can customize these in bulk form. When we use this environment, let's just pass in a Boolean for is signed in of type bool, which generally is going to be true for almost all of the previews. So here we'll say the user is going to be is signed in mock, otherwise nil, and is signed in mock, otherwise nil. Great. I'm going to actually just cut this. Let's open up our dependencies file, which is this first in our app delegate here at the beginning of our app. And we'll just paste it here for now, just so that we have this next to our dependencies file and we can kind of manage it all in one file. As we get later in the course, we're going to go ahead and customize this stuff more as we actually change the architecture. All right, that is all that I wanted to do in this video. We talked a little bit about how we can set up our preview environments to actually be production ready, to catch all of our edge cases. Because honestly, those edge cases, especially like what we were looking at in the Explore view, all of these edge cases here are the cases that QA very commonly is going to come back with as problems. QA being quality assurance. So what happens usually in your app is you go and you build it. You're building this version where you know there's going to be data. You build that, and then you send it to quality assurance, the QA team. And they check it with no internet. They check it with bad data. And then they come back with, oh, there's a problem with the loading indicator. And that's usually because the developer is struggling to find all these edge cases and actually get previews of all of those environments. So now, very easily, we can customize our previews, and we can also add all of our previews to the environment with a preview environment modifier. This is just going to help us move so much faster as we continue to build throughout this course. Let's go ahead and Option Command C. Let's make this a feature. And we'll call this preview environment. Let's go ahead and stage it, commit it, push it up to GitHub, and I'll see y'all in the next video.